In the first Pokemon game, there was a one sentence where you walk up to this guy with your Pikachu and he goes, "Oh, that's a Pikachu. One of those saved me during the war." So what does war look like in the world of Pokemon? So I started doing like these Vietnam era Pokemon. My name's Len Nicholas. I go by Toyagogo on Instagram and social media, and I am a freelance concept artist / industrial designer, and been doing it for a while. But this right here is my nightly sketchbook, where after I'm working for my clients and doing all that, I like to sit down at night on my couch and just draw whatever. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I draw, why I draw it, my thought process a little bit, and we'll go from there. So right here is, I love Zelda and I love Tears of the Kingdom and that stuff. And sometimes my sketchbook is just an opportunity to play with things that I like seeing the day before. And then I have a series of characters that I make of just ridiculous animals. And this is the titular berserker otter, who's best be described as an otter with ADD and a big sword. So, possibilities are endless for berserker otter. More berserker otter for May the 4th. I do a robot drawing class, and I did a demo for some people of just aesthetic features from a Millennium Falcon and incorporating it into a mecha. And just more robots. I love mechanisms. I love drawing robots, being that I have an industrial design background. And then, of course, I'm a cat lover as well. So I like drawing these robots that have kind of these television faces. And I grew up way in the country, and I didn't have a television. So I've always had like an obsession with television to this point, just because I didn't have one growing up. So it's kind of informed my aesthetic a little bit. And then, I like taking animals that are perhaps defenseless and arming them to the gills. Just because you're cute and cuddly doesn't give someone license to hurt you without recourse. So I'm a big fan of these stupid ducks.
Are these gouache?
Yeah, these were done in gouache. Now this is a nightly sketchbook. I try to complete a sketch a night, and it doesn't always allow for gouache, but it's something I want to incorporate a lot more into my sketch routine is gouache. I'm really having a lot of fun with it. Here's a duck driving a tank over a field of skulls. So looks can be deceiving. So I do a series of these and kind of explore the character in sort of an absurd way, through the week or the night. This culminated with this duck. He's got a pretty advanced mech suit, and he's going to be taken out by a cardboard box. And there's no cupcake in there, folks. He's just an idiot.
Did you draw that based on a personal experience?
We said we weren't going to talk about that. So I kind of wrapped this series up, and then I was exploring like just the aesthetic of what a tortoise looks like, and a grenade fascinates me. So I was toying around. Well, I took one night off to draw spaceships, because who doesn't? But we got this tortoise, and he's a grenade. He can pull his pin and run toward you. He's effectively a bomber. He's going to make it about 2 feet and explode. The target's just going to kind of look over and go, well, anyway. I like the aesthetic of turtles and Ninja Turtles, and actually, I do a lot of commissions through Instagram, and sometimes people like me doing Ninja Turtle commissions and stuff like that, so just because I like turtles so much.
I like turtles.
Then here's another robot, and I like taking what's in the news and what's topical, and then putting it in a mecha suit and mechanizing it. Here's an Ozempic applicator, and it's in a mech, so it's, I was watching the South Park episode on Ozempic, and I'm like, the applicator for it's really tech. So it's like, okay, what happens if you put it in a machine and, have it run around and live its life? So, and of course it's eating carbs. So yet another attempt at the turtle. Sometimes these things hit, sometimes they don't. But the most important thing is with a sketchbook, it's just time to experiment and have fun. And, I think in concept art, there's such an emphasis on being productive, being technically sound, learning, growing. It really is important to have fun with this. At the end of the day, art is about fun and it's about relationships. And, that's what I try and make my work about. Just make it as fun for me and fun for the people who see it as possible. Also, follow me on Kara. I'm dying there. That's Dynamite Hedgehog, by the way. And then just kind of experimenting with different stuff, using shape differently and light and shadow. And what's up, Steve?
Do you feel that light and shadow are present in all of these drawings?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. It's interesting you would bring it up then.
I've sold out to line. I am so addicted to line weight.
Uh-huh.
It's getting into painting, actually going out and landscape painting has got me better at figuring out those big black and white shapes. Because I used to just deal with just line all the time. And I'll do a plug for Nathan Fowkes down there. You take his class and he talks about the simple statement and how important that is. And it's really informed my work. And that where I'd go in with line, I grew up in the 90s, and comic books really influenced me a lot. But you look at those comic books now, they are a cluster F of detail. They're illegible. They make no sense. So what I thought art was just throwing detail at a page. And that idea gets reinforced when people go, oh, I like your work. It's so detailed. But the reality of it is, it's not about the detail. It's about the simple statement. And establishing that quickly with large shapes, large value groupings is so important to your work. And it's something I've had to push with because I'm very much on the industrial design side, which is a lot of line work. And it's just the object. And, just having that idea of that abstract thing that is removed from detail is so important. So take Nathan Fowlkes' classes on schoolism. I'm not being sponsored by Nathan, but I'm 100% open to selling out to Nathan Fowlkes. So,
Previous page, was that a Hollow Knight ripoff?
yes, most definitely. Fan art. I'm not above fan art, I'll tell you that. And this is, I forgot the person who this is, but there's a Instagram page. This guy has this cat, and it has no front legs. So it walks around on its back legs like a T-Rex. And I did a drawing of it one night. Did not do it even close to justice, but I'm like enamored by this cat. It's just amazing. And then the idea of like putting things that are very ground-based into something mechanical so it can move around, like the overuse of technology and how that will or will not relate to nature going forward, I find really fascinating. Like I'm a huge cyberpunk fan. And my 13-year-old daughter actually just got really into cyberpunk. So I'm killing it as a dad right now. So I'm like, yeah. Now, I did a video on my Instagram about having like a baseline workout, artist workout that you do absolutely every day. So I draw 3 figures every day. And one of the areas where I do a lot of my figure drawing is at church. And how I got my wife to allow me to draw at church is we'd go to the symphony together and my wife wouldn't let me bring my sketchbook. And then I'm on James Gurney's blog and he's out at the symphony. He's got his paints, he's got gouache, he's got his brushes, and he's got a sketchbook. And he's sketching at the symphony. And I'm like, sweetie, if James Gurney can paint and draw at the symphony, so can I. And then that bled over into church. And I met James Gurney last year. And I'm like, thank you so much, James, for, you drawing at the symphony has really allowed my wife to give me permission to draw at church. And James goes, whoa, that might be taking it a little too far. But anyway, I still draw at church. I like breaking out the gouache every now and again. I really enjoy. I should have brought some plein air painting, but I don't do those in a sketchbook. I do them on chipboards. I just cut a bunch of different sizes and go wherever. Like I'm a big fan of, like in the prepper community, people are into preparing for disaster. They have something called a bug out bag. And I have a bug out bag. It's just not full of like guns and rations and first aids kits. It's full of like my sketchbook and my paints. So if I want to draw, I don't have the friction of preparedness standing between me and pursuing my craft. I have everything I need ready to go, but it's good to be able to draw anytime and really get in that habit of carrying a sketchbook, having your stuff ready to go at any time. So if you have that urge to draw and create, it's not discouraged by preparation.
You were talking about your daily sketch routine.
Daily sketch routine.
About how long do you take on those figures? What does the rest of that routine look like? What's your day in your sketchbook?
I get up, I go for a walk every day. I think something I'm going to talk about more on my Instagram is just being healthy as an artist. But finding out health-wise what really works for you as an artist so you can be more efficient. You can be, your brain is an organ and it needs rest and care and nutrients like anything else. So I get up, I have kind of like, I go for a walk, I do some journaling, and I kind of prepare my mind for my day of art. And then I sit down, I do my billing for my clients because I do the worst thing first. And then I go in, I work my day, and then around 6 or 7, I typically quit my professional work, hang out with the family, and then at night, the last hour or 2 of the day, I just sit on my couch with my sketchbook and sketch whatever I want to sketch. And next to my sketching area, I'll put a picture on Instagram. It's an ADD mess, but I have like this little table, and it's just covered with like paints and palettes. I have a cordless drill there right now. Just all like random creative stuff. So I just sit down there, I do my stuff, and then when I'm ready to go to bed, I go to bed. So, but really like, catering your environment to your own productivity and your creativity, I think is really important. So just more stuff, more nightly figures that I do every night. and more bonsai trees and robots. I like the idea of, trees are inherently sedentary. It's part of their biology. But the fun of imagination and drawing is that you can take things and repurpose them or recontextualize them in a fun and exciting way that you wouldn't otherwise do. So, played with those a little bit. Charlie, are you going to catch this Hollow Knight ripoff?
I can't believe it. Yeah.
Can you see the Hollow Knight influence?
I do.
Yeah, the little words from Hollow Knight. So I love robots. I love anything tech. And sometimes I see something like the little worms in Hollow Knight. Again, it's just a simple statement of the worm coming out of something round is just such a great statement. I had to play with it one night. And that's the beauty of the sketchbook. You could just, on a whim, just play with an idea or a concept that you've seen that's been bugging you. Okay, so this is an idea. I was reading something that you can't hug children with nuclear arms.
It's pronounced nuclear.
I disagree. You can hug many children with nuclear arms, being that it's such a powerful energy source. It can really sustain a tremendous amount of hugging for a prolonged amount of time.
How many children have you hugged with nuclear arms?
None, but I'm working on it. This is my 4th of July sketch. Something that really has been fascinating me lately is those old school doll heads and like 1950s mascots, because they're complete nightmare fuel. And then another thing, I think that's a squid in there, or no, it's a jellyfish in a robot. And then sometimes I just like drawing mushrooms. If you guys are trying to build your Instagram, mushrooms are Instagram gold. I don't know why people like them so much, but you draw mushrooms, you'll get like a little boost to your profile.
Do you recommend drawing on mushrooms?
Honestly, I don't need it. I probably shouldn't do psychedelics, honestly. Not a good idea. I teach line weight in my class for robots. That's something that really bothers me is there's not a lot of instruction informing how to describe things in line weight and the importance of it. I start with like a 3-weight line weight, but making sure you have contrast between those 3 types of line weight is so important. Like I have your contour line, which describes the silhouette of an object. And that's your darkest line. And then you have the next darkest line is the parting line. The parting line is just like where you have an assembly, where the assembly comes together. I have that be my second thickest line. And then my thinnest line is typically the contour line. Having that hierarchy in your line weight really helps out especially with tech drawing. And I'm actually working on a course specifically on line weight because it's so neglected and it's so important. And it was something I was just obsessed with line weight for the longest time. And there's not a lot of good instruction on it.
Line weight is an important concept that doesn't get enough focus. And that's why I have several practical lessons dedicated to line weight in my Drawing Basics course. Check it out at proko.com/drawing.
So as an industrial designer, I'd see like these Joe Johnson sketches. And I'm like, how does he do that? And I couldn't, a 20-year-old me couldn't quantify how he was doing it. It took me years and years to figure it out. Now I can teach it in 15 minutes. So it's like killing me. I try to get out one of these sketches a night. And also I'm a professional artist that, I have to hit deadlines. So economy informs my work a lot. So when I draw one of these sketches, my focal point gets the most care. And then the detail and the amount of work I put into it kind of drops off from there. So something I learned from my industrial design days is we called it sanding a turd. So when you have a concept and you're making a model of something, if the big shape is bad, no amount of refinement's gonna fix it. So make sure you start with a good, solid, big shape, and then you can add your details from there. So my process is very hierarchical based on level of detail. So I work from big to small when I do something. Again, going back to like plugging Nathan Fowkes, the simple statement, Nathan, I am available for sponsorship. But, getting that simple statement and then working, big to small is so important.
Is that a burrito mech?
Okay, let's get a little personal. You go out, you eat a big meal, you go out as a family, you take a walk. Sometimes I get the gas. And I'm like, so I'm walking down the street and I let one go and I'm like, just as a joke to my kids, I'm like, look, I got jump jets. And I let one go, I hopped into the air, everyone got a chuckle out of it. Because it's something like Battletech, you equip your robots with these jump jets that allow them to jump into the air. And I'm like, what makes you gassy to give you plenty of fuel for jump jets? The burrito mech.
So you've discovered your final form then?
It's one of many. I think I'm like a tri-evolution Pokemon, but yes, this is my second form, is a burrito. I feel most comfortable wrapped up in something, so let's see. We'll keep moving here. Just more robots. I love just drawing robots. I like taking, blobby shapes and sculpting them in 2D, kind of like you do in ZBrush. But there is a way to do it in 2D. Again, talking about my course, I do that in my course. One night also, I don't know, just the idea of an earthworm gym. Groovy! The 90s, like humanity peaked at the 90s. Sorry for everyone who was born afterwards, you're kind of on the decline, but the 90s were amazing. We had just the right amount of everything. You know, I have a live stream every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time on Instagram. And one day there's this huge debate over who had the best chili, Arizona versus Colorado. This is Arizona. This is Colorado. And I had people vote on who had the best chili. Arizona beat the heck out of Colorado. It was like no contest. It was sad. You know, I have futurist tendencies, and you know, I work a lot in the toy field, and I make a lot of toys, and they're getting more and more animatronic. That trajectory is only going in one way, and eventually we're gonna have these really sophisticated animatronic toys.
No freaking way.
And eventually they're gonna end up in the landfill. And the landfills are gonna turn into absolute nightmare fuel, because you're gonna have all these like carcasses. Like, oh my God, I thought I saw a dead body. It's like, listen, lady, you're like the 20th dead body call we've seen. Are you sure it's not a Muppet? And so here's more stuff. I love the idea of a sword and a stone. And again, I love that idea of taking something that's extremely sedentary and making it mobile and move. So like taking rocks and turning them into stones and stuff like that is something I really enjoy. This whole exercise right here, lots of detail, but it started with a simple statement of that strong Z right there. And that was really the whole purpose of the sketch, is just to make a Z shape. And sometimes that's all it is. Oh, also, if you want to grow your Instagram account, BMO is Instagram Gold. And then there's Claptrap. I love them. I don't know why. This one didn't work out. I don't know why I don't like it, but I don't. And then I did this one. Like, I didn't mean it to look so Zelda-like, but my daughter is obsessed with Zelda. So it definitely gets into my work a lot. Failed sketches. Oh, this is a fun sketch. Okay. So I go out drawing a lot. I was at my cottage in Cape Vincent, and there's this bar, this brewery. I went to the end of the bar, like the absolute end of the bar, to draw, and I almost got beaten up drawing this. These two guys decided to hover right over me, like right over me, guys, for like 15, 20 minutes until I went away. Berserker Otter was there. Things would have gone different, I'll tell you that. A little power of Grayskull. But again, you know, the big simple statement. I love putting gouache into these drawings just to make it pop. And then something I really like doing is the white background and then white eyes that kind of connect to that background. It's often a very powerful statement. I did do this for Inktober. I think this was a prompt for Boots. And, you know, just the idea of playing with proportion and design and surface topography. Something that I find people have a tremendous weakness with in industrial design and drawing any tech is how to handle surfaces in a decorative and pleasant, informative way. So that's something I like to teach my students, is how to do that. Let's see. Oh, I think this just got done blowing up on the internet. I'm a big 40K fan. And okay, another pro tip on growing your Instagram. Hello Kitty is Instagram Gold. It will get you so many likes. I have this saying, you can't spell art without whore. So sometimes you gotta pander. All right. So we got a few more. And I love Inktober because it makes me draw things and kind of things that I'm not super comfortable with. And you fail a little bit, but you know, it's important to fail. If you're not failing at least once a week. Oh, okay. So I just turned 48, and my characters, this is Dynamite Hedgehog, and he drops truth bombs. And on October 16th, he dropped the truth bomb of "you're old and your prostate is humongous." And, you know, I just gotta accept that. So, you know, that's the way it is. It's how it goes. I think this one was hard drive or something was the theme. So I have a robot with a hard drive getting ready to be put in his back, and, you know, just fun stuff. This one was Rhino. I think I did this for my live stream. I was staying with a friend who happened to be Viggo Mortensen's old swim coach. And I was at her place in Florida, and I drew this on the new year at her place. Coolest chick ever. Connie, you are, if you could meet anyone on the planet, it would be Connie. Let's talk about Trix cereal and why they're exclusively for children. Trix is kept from rabbits, and it's been decades of that. And they're gonna snap. So here we have a mech getting loaded up and ready. It's cheap, super affordable junk food. Why can't rabbits have it?
I hope you've been feeding tricks to rabbits so that you're on the right side of history.
I am on the right side of history. Thank you very much. So I had like this series of the Trix Wars that I drew for a couple of days, and it gets kind of heavy. Because, like, as the war continues, the rabbits focus more on military technology. You know, they go from well, they stay procreating. That's part of their power. But they're focused on military tech. And what's scary, this is a tricks war. Tricks are for kids. I'm making air quotes. He's at war with kids. He's raining down pretty hard right now. It's kind of dark off this page. It's really kind of dark.
Is this where the nuclear arms come in? And
Hey, slow down there, Peppy. We keep going. Sometimes you just need to draw a Pikachu with a Gatling gun. So every conflict comes with a moment where things snap. All right. What is this? What is going on here? What?
got some lucky rabbit's feet.
Not for the rabbit, it ain't. And now that they know about it, they're armed to the teeth. It's not so lucky for you anymore there. So the rabbit snapped, and they're just like, I posted this one, and I had the most Vietnam CCR music play, and these guys are like, they're ready. Like, at first it was like a light conflict. It's more about jockeying for position and showing your power. Now it's like, this is war. You got a rabbit, you know, flying over a city, and then they're just going for it. They're just not, you know, Vietnam era stuff. They've gotten rid of the mechs. They're just not visceral enough. And then, okay, maybe the mechs are back. And then we got this. This is like late stage conflict. I think we know which way the war's going, but you really need something to put that war over the edge. And we'll get back to this one. But yeah, when the rabbits split the atom, maybe it's time to share, people. Finally wraps up with a rabbit dropping the bomb. Needless to say, for God's sakes, just give the rabbits the cereal. It's probably healthier for them than it is for you. So, but here's you know, I love drawing tech and doing the technology thing, and drawing spaceships is great. And you know, as a designer, I draw objects, I draw products, and I don't often get a chance in my professional work to draw things in an environment. So it's something I'm trying to do more and more on my own time. And starting with those big abstract shapes, you know, knowing where your eye's going, I think is really helpful. So it's something I play around with. So during the Super Bowl, I watched the Super Bowl, the one with Taylor Swift in it. And I'm just drawing like cyborg football players. I cannot for the life of me get into football. And yeah, just Spider-Man as a mech. I really like the game Titanfall. I like the aesthetic of it. And every now and again, I love chibi characters. Taking something super tech and turning it to that two-head proportion. It's easy to draw. It's really fun. But again, like with these, you have to really start with a strong abstract silhouette with a good gesture. And then from there, it's just cake. He had a burrito.
Do you want to say a little bit about the toned paper in the sketchbooks?
I bet you want a profound reason why I draw with this. Okay.
Whatever you can give.
Okay, so these are Earthbound sketchbooks. They don't sell them anymore. This is the biggest question I get asked online. What sketchbook do you use? The reason why I use this isn't for the toned paper. I like the smooth paper and I like the binding. On the sketchbook, when I started drawing on these probably 20 years ago, they were about $7. So they stopped making them. And I've kind of adapted my drawing style to the sketchbook as opposed to choosing it because I wanted the sketchbook. I just like the texture of the paper and the portability of it. But after drawing on these sketchbooks for 20 years, I've kind of adapted my drawing style to the sketchbook, not the other way around. So
if they don't sell them anymore, do you have like a stockpile of
I
them?
do. Going back to the prepper thing, I am not prepared for the apocalypse except when it comes to sketchbooks. I got about 20 more of these. So I got maybe 6 or 7 years left of these.
And then that's when your life expires, when you run out of sketchbooks?
Yeah, I've thought about that. I'm like, oh, does it all end because artists aren't neurotic. So anyway, my mom's been bugging me to draw bugs for some reason. So here's a Bug Knight and another, probably Hollow Knight ripoff. And then another one right there. So it's just fun, like playing with bigger blocky shapes. Give yourself an opportunity at least every week to fail. I can't emphasize that enough. Go out there and pursue failure. Like when I hear people talking about fail blogs and making fun of people failing, it's like, no, that's a person who tried. And the only people who can avoid failure is those who don't try. And I cannot emphasize the importance of failure. So every week, try drawing something where you're just going to totally wipe out. Line weight. I don't know what he's smoking. Okay, anyway. And then, I love line weight and playing with depth and, value structure of things and like putting something on a page abstractly as a value structure and then something else behind it. So there's a lot of detail there, but the reality is it's just this statement right here. You know, these two big shapes. That's all it is.
Is that a long Furby in the background?
Is that a long Furby?
People will take Furbies and make long art out of them.
I have sleep issues. Why are you human centipeding my beloved childhood toy? Oh my goodness. Okay, here's a dung beetle, but instead of a round pile of excrement, it's a fusion reactor. Because the idea of having animals take our most dangerous tech and just run with it amuses me in my brain, terrifies me in reality. More crazy bugs. Oh, March of Robots. March of Robots is like my month. More Zelda drawings. And then, oh guys, if you guys don't watch the Y Files on YouTube, I highly recommend it. It's fun. This is Hecklefish. And I think I got a shout out on Instagram for one of these drawings. He's like, good job, human. So I was like, I got endorsed by Hecklefish. It was like the best day ever. But check out the Y Files on YouTube. It's really cool. Again, BMO is Instagram gold. And just more stuff. I don't know, I was just watching the Spider-Verse movie. And I know some of the guys that worked on it, so I was watching it one night and kind of took my interpretation of the mecha. And something I really like doing, in my course, I have this exercise where you take like an egg shape or like a blob shape, like some sort of organic egg, and then establish perspective lines through it, and then start carving shapes into it, and techie shapes and surface detail and extruding stuff off of it. And it's really fun, and it's fun to do with sci-fi helmets. You just start with a blob, and then just start carving and pushing and pulling into it. It's like using ZBrush, but in a sketchbook. Again, with this one failed. You know, more Hello Kitty and Max, because why not? This one I love. I want to do another one of these because you take something so cute and so wholesome and then over-apply technology to it and turn it into a nightmare. And I love that aesthetic. Again, cyberpunk is amazing. So more stuff. And some days you can tell, like in my sketchbook, when I'm tired. Like at the end of the day, I draw no matter what. Some days I'm just tired. Like I can barely see the page, but you go in there, you just put line to paper, and you do what you can. And the habit's so meaningful. You know, having a good sketch habit, I think, is so important. Again, like the dichotomy between technology and nature, I love. Invader Zim also Instagram gold. So we'll go through these and let's see, cats and mechs. I love cats. I'm a crazy cat man. So here's, like, I did a series of these TV robots just with cats, and they all just have like little cat buddies. And I think cats would like them because potentially the cats would be giving off heat, and cats love anything that gives off heat. Oh, this is an egg I did for Easter. What if the egg could participate in the egg hunt as well, and not just passively sit in the crook of a tree? So we got like this little stealth Metal Gear Solid egg. What I love about art and design is the questions you can ask. You know, why and why is that, or what if? It makes for some fun art. And, you know, on a page, there's no limits to what you can do or what you can attempt. So asking why and what if, I think, makes a really fun sketchbook where you can just explore an idea, just an absurd idea. So I was thinking of what happened if you took like a Lovecraftian Cthulhu cult and it took off online and got super techie. So let's see, we got a few more. Okay. So I love my cat, but this is gonna get a little dark. But I read something like if you die and you're alone in your house with your cat will eat you within minutes. I didn't talk to my cat. Not that I really talked to my cat, but I couldn't look at my cat for a week. I have gotten over it, I've worked through it, but just the fact that my cat is like this murdering sociopath.
Cats are always hungry, and that's the last warm meal they'll get from you.
Yeah, it's just like, it's terrifying. So I drew like this sociopathic, like killing robot, and its best buddy would of course be a cat. And then that got a little dark, so I wanted to focus on love. So here's an armadillo in a tank. You know, wedding nights, airships. I want to draw more airships soon. I really like those. Like Ian McKay am I pronouncing his name right? Ian?
Is it Ian?
Is it Ian McKay? I've never met him. I'm a huge fan of his work. He does these brilliant airships that are just great. Oh, something that's also a lot of fun to do in a sketchbook is using gouache washes to just kind of push and pull your values a little bit. And you get some really kind of juicy effects that I really like. And of course, you know, you can push and pull and smear on the paper and stuff like that. And it's a wet medium, so you can reactivate it and adjust your edges and stuff like that. So let's keep rolling. Okay, truth bombs. Oh, I love the interaction in art. I love having an online presence, and I love smart asses. One person who follows me, I forgot who it was, but we're drawing something for Alien Day. I missed it, and I drew something, and someone just wrote in the comments, Xenomorphin Power Rangers, because it's a xenomorph. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what would happen if the Power Rangers mixed in the Aliens, Weyland-Yutani universe? And so I had to have a chest burster coming out of a Power Ranger. So that was a lot of fun.
I would love to see the mech that would come out of like the Zord, like the H.R. Giger Zord.
Oh my gosh, we're doing that for Alien Day. Text me.
Yes.
Make sure we do that for
Okay.
Alien Day next year. For me, fundamentally, art is relational. And that's why I got to bust on AI art a little bit. AI takes the relation out of art. And I think the relationship that artists have to their audience, to each other, and the audience has to themselves, and how fluid, you don't have to stay in either one of those categories. Art is extremely relational. And that's something that I enjoy the most out of doing art and having an online presence.
Would you not want to implement it in your art then?
I don't want to implement it in my art. And even if I no longer find work as an artist, I don't want to use it because that's not why I make art. For me, art is a very personal, kind of visceral and relational, even a spiritual thing. And I think AI art, how it's been rolled out and how it's being used right now, is kind of an antithesis to my values as an artist. I think the tool is so powerful and so off the leash that AI is not the tool. I think we're the tool. And, I'd like to keep my agency as an artist. To me, I am a unique creature. And to algorithmically break me down, first off, I don't think a computer can do any human being justice. So in the first Pokemon game, there was a one sentence where you walk up to this guy with your Pikachu and he goes, oh, that's a Pikachu. One of those saved me during the war. And we're talking about rabbit holes. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? There was like a war in Pokemon. And then it got me thinking about the Pokemon world. Like literally, you can have a child capture a Pokemon that's like an extinction level event Pokemon. And that child has like the equivalent of a nuclear warhead. So what does war look like in the world of Pokemon? So I started doing like these Vietnam era Pokemon and started at like all these questions, like turning them into mines. And then I'm like, do they have guns in this world? Like, would they invent the projectile weapon? Would they even need to? When you could just catch a Pikachu out of a bush and literally electrocute a water buffalo, so the Pokemon wars are something I'm going to be continuing soon. But the idea of militarized Pokemon I find so fascinating. Like a little Jigglypuff with this other, get some,
I think this is a brilliant rabbit hole to go down.
It is. There's so many questions, guys. I have so many questions. Oh, so when I meet a celebrity, sometimes I like to draw a version of them as a cyborg and get a picture of them with it if they're cool with it. So far, no one's been offended because when you cyborg someone, you are effectively mutilating them in the worst way. So you're like, hey, I really admire your work. Here you are cut apart and having like mechanisms put on you. Please like me. But Kim Coates I met, and he's a super cool guy. He's an amazing actor. He's one of my top 10 actors. And he saw it and he was happy with it. But I also I'm a fan of Marshall here at Proko. And I did him as well. So we'll take a look at that after this. Oh my gosh, he was hiding back there the entire time. I wanted to do one of you guys mech'd up. So I did Marshall getting ready for work. And I just imagine Marshall just coming out of the pod that his head sleeps in and just being lowered onto this magnificent chassis that you see before you and getting loaded up and ready for work. So hopefully you enjoy. Is this appropriate?
Great, you make her look handsome.
You are handsome.
God, that's strong, metal strong. Oh, it's just
Well, I went on the internet, I'm like looking for reference, and I'm like, I think this guy could throw down Abraham Lincoln style. He's just got that frame, you know what I mean? Like, guys, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Proko, and hope to see everyone on the funny pages. Thanks, guys.
Marshall is a perspective machine. And if you're in need of an upgrade to your own skills, join the course over at proko.com/perspective.